No edits, no pauses, no clicks, no cuts. Just gonna talk live. Been thinking a lot about the upcoming election and was just wondering how it's gonna turn out. You guys, let me know what you all think too. Okay, so I like using 270towin.com. It's a handy election map that you can manipulate as you like. This is what the screen opens up to, and the default here is the 2024 consensus. It's based on polling, but let's just go down to what the map looked like from the results of last year, or last election. All right. And you can see Biden won with 303 electoral votes to Trump's 235. If you've been following the polls, you know the swing states are definitely leaning towards Trump. And some of the most assured states traditionally for Democrats are weakening in their support for Biden. So I thought it'd be fun to see. You know, the last huge real landslide that we had was President Reagan's reelection in 1984, where he won every state except Minnesota. So he actually had over 500 electoral votes. Not sure we'll see the likes of that ever again. Even President Obama, who was exceedingly popular president, did not capture such electoral votes. All right, so let's run through and see how, let's say, we're going to be as optimistic as we can for President Trump in this election, since he is the one that seems to be leading, and if the election were today, would probably win. All right, so we know now that Georgia would be in Trump's favor. Um, Arizona, based on all the polls, Trump would win. Nevada, he would win. Um, Wisconsin, he would win. Michigan, he would win. Pennsylvania, he would win. Um, I think those are all the major swing states that are currently being polled and in his favor. So just based on this, Trump would win the election 312 to 226. But I said, let's be as optimistic as possible. As you all know, Trump is in New York. He's tied to New York per the ongoing court case there, and he's not allowed to leave during the trial time. So he's been campaigning. Not sure you call it campaigning, but he's definitely popularing throughout New York City and being extremely well received. And usually, as New York City goes, the state goes. Traditionally, New York City votes Democrat, and the rest of the state is more Republican. So let's just say Trump's forced stay in New York allows him to woo the voters to him. Remember, he was an extremely popular man in New York City for his entire career. So he is traditionally very well liked there. So let's say he nabs New York. And let's stay on the East Coast for a little bit. And let's just say if he takes New York, probably he takes New Jersey with him. Again, traditionally Democrat, but a very blue collar state, similar to a lot of the voters in New York City. Obviously, the New York City metropolitan area captures a lot of the population in New Jersey. So let's say in this weird world where Trump takes New York, he'll take New Jersey too. Um, Along that lines, New Hampshire tends to be a little more libertarian, independent, and in a Trump-friendly electoral environment. He'll take that. If he takes New York and he takes New Jersey, he'll probably take New Hampshire. And we already know Maine may very well be leaning towards Trump already, at least in the upstate, the large portion of the state. So let's just switch this around. I think it's District 2 that will probably still remain a Democrat stronghold. I don't really, even in most favorable situations, I don't really see any other state going for Trump in the Northeast. Delaware, nope. It's Biden's home state, traditional blue state stronghold. Maryland did have a Republican governor, Larry Hogan, who probably got elected based on a lot of his anti-Trump rhetoric, and Marylanders' realization that the state's budget needed to be balanced. Interestingly, Hogan is now running for senator. We'll see how that goes, but I don't see Maryland voting for Trump. Virginia, though, a long Republican stronghold, that, expanding government, bureaucracies, traditionally Democrat, government spending related contracts, etc., friendly. It has shifted blue because of the Northern Virginia voter pool, which is predominantly government spending related. That's, some of the, I think, three of the four most wealthy counties in the country are in Northern Virginia, and that's all government money. So people who make their money from the government, like government spending. A little cynical on my part, but I just don't see them voting against their interest, even though, Trump spent money too. But I think the moneyed interest in terms of government spending keeps North Virginia voting Democrat, and that will take the state with them. So that'll stay blue. Okay. Interestingly, I've seen, as we move to the Midwest, I've seen a lot of videos of average citizens of Chicago, African American citizens, who are really upset with their local government, Democrat Party controlled for a long, long time, and they're exceedingly upset with the conditions. A lot of it's related to crime, some of it's illegal immigration. A lot of it is immigrants are taking city monies that traditionally would have went to them. That and Trump, traditionally sort of pre-presidential run, was a popular person in all urban areas, metropolitan areas of the country. So maybe that residual popularity is coming back. I know Illinois is a Democrat stronghold forever, but most of that's because of Chicago. And if Chicago protest votes or just doesn't show up to vote in this optimistic scenario, Illinois will go to Trump. Minnesota, same thing. Minneapolis, a lot like Chicago. No, Minneapolis is the one state that didn't vote for Reagan, of all places. However, they have voted conservative in the past, and in this environment where the base is upset with Biden, and mind you, Minneapolis has a lot of Somalia refugees, a lot of people who would be favorable to the Palestinian side in the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, who may not be happy with the Democrats' support of Israel in that conflict. They might stay home. That and the traditional rural voters remaining Republican, that could tip the balance. So in a very favorable election for Donald Trump, he'll take Minnesota. I think Nebraska won, second district remains, that'll remain Democrat, just because of the way it's been zoned or districted. It just captures all the Democratic voters in Nebraska, so that'll hold. Colorado, every time I think Colorado, maybe they're going to go back to the Republican. They never do. So even in a favorable Trump election, I'm just not going to expect Colorado to vote Democrat. That takes us to Washington, Oregon, California. Seattle carries Washington. Portland carries Oregon. California, it's inconceivable to me that California would vote for Trump, even though it's a big state and there's millions of conservative voters in California. They're just they can't compete with the big cities and the huge Democrat base there. So the West Coast will remain solidly in Biden's side. However, New Mexico, similar to urban blacks, a lot of Hispanics are shifting away from the Democrat Party, and Trump remains a popular figure. New Mexico, I believe, has the highest proportion of Latin American heritage citizens of any state. And recently, I was reading that the 50% of Latinos support Trump. If that's the case in this election, Trump will take, in the most favorable electoral result, he would take New Mexico. Hawaii, there is some discord in Hawaii with the Democrats. Hawaii's been Democratic run, on a state and local level for since as long as I can remember. And the catastrophe that occurred in Maui really blew back on it. And all the politicians there, were all Democrat. However, yeah, it's still they're still going to vote Democrat, I think, in a presidential election. So I think Hawaii will remain in Trump's, voting for Biden. Um, so there we have it. The most favorable result that I could foresee for Trump, I'm not saying this will be the result, not by a long shot, but the most favorable result for Trump would have him win the election 394 to 144, 6 away from 400. I would call 400 electoral votes a landslide, not the massive landslide that Reagan won in 1984, but close to 400. Could I be off on one of these states, and Trump does boost back in the most favorable situation for boost over 400 electoral college votes? Yeah, maybe. But I'll go with this. This will be my final prediction for the most optimistic result Trump could have. I will next make a video for the most optimistic result Biden could have. All right, y'all, let me know what you think, and look forward to seeing you in the next one.